Thank you very much to Holly.
Thank you.
We're going to do your last one.
I'm happy to go next if
You're still eating?
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that.
Okay. Since we had reshuffle our programme.
I've just inserted myself into
In between, I'm just going to say, on your tables, I've put some bits of paper. It's voluntary homework. So if you have a look through those, you'll see there's 3 questions and then a 4th big question, which is the question of the evening. What does a Liberal Britain look like for you? And if, when you've finished the meeting or you've got a moment and you're not paying proper attention to our speakers, we'll have a little gap after the speakers. Have a look through that, fill that in, and generate your own ideas. We can talk about those at the end as well. But first, about diversity.
about political engagement and diversity.
We have Louise, who is joining us from Wigan.
Okay, so I'm aware that a lot of what I'm going to say is going to be preaching to the choir when it comes to diversity. But I think, nevertheless, it's important to sort of put the case forward that we can't have a truly liberal Britain without diversity and without engaging a diverse range of people. So I was thinking about what I wanted to say about this today, and I promised myself that I wouldn't mention the referendum because everybody's sick of hearing about it. But like so many other people, I'm going to break that promise and talk about the referendum. I was devastated by the results, but in some ways I wasn't shocked. I think it's symptomatic of a deeper issue in this country. There are divisions now in the country, and it's clear that vast segments of our population are feeling alienated, detached from the political process. There's been reports of people after the result who voted out because they thought it wouldn't count. We've got people who don't feel engaged with politics. And I think that's a real tragedy. We've got a whole segment of the electorate that we're not getting through to, and for them, voting to leave was a way of, to quote that horrible slogan, take back control. And that was the only chance they've had to do it for some people, like myself, who lives in a Labour stronghold, Labour's Fort Knox in Makerfield, which no matter where I put my cross, in which box, I will always get Labour. I valiantly vote Lib Dem, so far, no luck. But there are people in seats like that up and down the country who feel like no matter whether they go to vote or not, the result's always going to be the same. And I think, as Liberals, that's unacceptable. People are out there and they don't have a voice, they feel let down, they feel disenfranchised, and like I say, for them the referendum was the only chance for them to have a choice. So we need to move on, obviously making a positive case to stay in Europe and speaking up for the 48% of people who voted to remain, but we also need to remember that we can't just ignore those other 52% of the population. We need to be able to speak to them. And I think, obviously, as Liberals, we're a big fan of electoral reform. That's great. That would be in my Liberal Britain, without a doubt, proportional representation. It would go some way to addressing that sort of democratic deficit people have when they go to vote and they feel like it's doing nothing. But your average man on the street, man, woman, child, whoever, I can tell you they don't particularly care about electoral reform. I mean, as the AV referendum showed quite clearly, they care about things, like you said, like the NHS, like school places, like jobs, housing. And I think this whole exercise in the referendum has just been a case of them deflecting their anger at the fact these services haven't been properly funded and managed by government, and deflecting it onto a target such as immigrants, the EU, things they feel they have nothing over control of because they don't have any more control over the way the NHS is run or the way local services are funded. A lot of people feel that I've spoke to personally. So basically I want to put forward the case that if we are going to build a liberal Britain and if we are going to take power in this country again, we need to find a way to show those people how liberalism works in their everyday life. We're often accused of people, they don't know what we stand for, and I think now is an excellent opportunity for us to show exactly what we stand for. We're pro-EU, we're about practical, fair solutions to problems in people's lives, and we need to be able to show them that and show them how liberalism would work and educate them, basically, for want of a better word, that, you know, the answer isn't always going to be you can blame someone else. You know, we have to do things in our own country to address these problems rather than blaming an outside influence. And part of that process of engaging people, I think, is ensuring that when we're speaking to them, it's not just through our policy, it's through diverse activists, spokespeople, representatives that truly represent their communities, whether that's working class people, black and minority ethnic groups, LGBT people, people with disabilities. You know, diversity shouldn't be a nice thing we should have in an ideal world. It should be something that the foundations of what we are doing is built on throughout the party, because it's the only way we're going to be able to speak for the greatest number of people that we possibly can and stand up for their rights and make sure, you know, they're living in a fairer society, to, you know, use that term. So basically, what I just wanted to say tonight is I think that the referendum was sort of indicative of a bigger problem, that there are a lot of people who feel disengaged from politics, and we are in a position now where we are pretty much the only unified party. We have a positive outlook, so I want us to take that chance and really run with it and try to make a more fair society for these people who feel like they've just been completely left behind by the other parties. And that's what I wanted to say.